Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good morning to you, Hector. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to announce Hector Laurence, who's the president of IFAMA, and you'll see him every 4 weeks in our program, in this channel. He'll comment on the situation in the post-corona world, in the post-corona food systems world, because the world is changing. Supplies don't always arrive where they should, and what is changing in this world? We don't know what is going to happen, and that is why we're very happy to have Hector with a large experience commenting on the situation in the world. Now, Hector, first introduce yourself. What did you do in life?
Well, thank you for that small question. Basically, I have started my original career in law and taxes, but then life gave me the chance to start very, very young, at the age of 26, in the agribusiness activity, especially in the seed business. Originally in Argentina, then many years all across Latin America, and of course with the US. And of course, I was lucky enough to have the chance to travel a lot. And also, apart from walking across all the Americas and most of Europe, I did it visiting some parts of Africa and Oceania and Asia. So I had the luck of having a kind of worldwide coverage and a touch with the different cultures, which is really an enrichment that helped me a lot to work on the issues that you are mentioning, which is how to see the evolution and a period of this type of crisis.
Thank you. So this type of crisis, let's go on to indeed the question, what does the food system in the world look like now, according to your experience? Supplies don't start not arriving, for example, in countries that need imported food. How do you judge the situation? What is happening and what should be prevented from happening?
Well, what is happening, it's a kind of earthquake that is affecting the activities in many countries with these periods of quarantines, reduction of activities. And I would say that is amazing also within all this stop, an emergency, the fact that in spite of that, in most of the countries with the skills and ability to do it, the possibility of providing food for the people of those countries have been moving forward in spite of some problems, but moving forward and providing all the food. Nevertheless, the other segments with import needs may be suffering or having other type of problems, which is telling us that as soon as the activity starts recovering, it's going to be very, very important a review of the current situation of all the trading issues, permits, legal regulations that need to be absolutely reviewed in order to adapt the upcoming system to the right supply, to the right quality and the certifications, to be sure that the production is done respecting all the health procedures. So you can imagine that with tremendous impact, the world is not ready to receive any problem coming out from abroad with infected food.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be extremely careful in those things, and also to have a long-term planning regarding how all these import-export duties permits is going to function, to be sure that within those limits of security, the food supply is going to be flexible enough to reach especially countries and people that are in absolute need of imported food to have their supply.
Mm-hmm. But Hector, can I ask a question? Russia, for example, is limiting its exports in wheat. India is limiting the export of rice. So there are all kinds of protectionist waves in the world. Do you? So that is what I see from my European perspective. What do you see from your South American perspective? Is this happening? Is this kind of protectionism coming up? And obviously, if there is protectionism, world supplies, they're very interconnected, will be in danger.
Yes, they could be in danger. I'll give you 2 or 3 pieces of background to answer your concrete question. If we in South America see it, I'll give you one example. The international treaties between the European Union and the Mercosur, a volume of production like in Brazil or Argentina, that agreement has been stopping those relationships because production and protection. For that agreement for many years was the European protection that is coming from the era of the Kearns Group, the European protection to their farmers and their food. So Europe was asking for, and still is, limiting the possibility of exports of raw products from the Mercosur just to protect the local farms and farmers in Europe. I'll give you other examples. That it was sort of solved a little bit in the last agreement signed 1 year ago, but not in place yet. And there are several European countries that are really observing because of these point the agreements. So in other cases, for example, and just to attack now Argentina, not to attack, to describe, Argentina, during the previous government that was in place until 2015, suddenly in an international meeting, the former president, if he was she, Cristina Kirchner, she was asked at the FAO meeting of the United Nations why suddenly Argentina wanting the food exports without any previous advice or information. So many people was calculating that the food supply from Argentina was going to be there, and suddenly limitations on wheat, meat, and other products surprisingly showed it up. Why was that? If Argentina is a traditional exporter? Well, because the government decided to stop the exports, or at least most of it, for one simple reason. Without exports, then the biggest demand will disappear. And so internally, without the competition of the importers, the prices will go down, and then the government will be able to offer cheaper food for the people. So no exports, internal abundance, cheaper food.
Yeah, because there's a lot of production.
I have given you 2 concrete examples. So that shows how much political or economical decisions can suddenly affect the logical food supply.
And is that happening in the world? So I have the impression that is happening in the world. Obviously, the Russians keep their stock in their country. The Indians are doing it. How will this develop in the coming months, according to you?
Well, I think that initially, if you take the cases of Russia or India, the politicians are the people responsible have one deep fear, apart from the illnesses and the people dying or being infected. And the fear is we have to do whatever necessary to assure that we have all the basic food for our population, because at the same time, with these illnesses and crisis, economical crisis, even much bigger right now than the illness, they feel that they have to do whatever necessary to assure big stocks of food supply. So if they can stop exports, they will do so. And we will see that. That's why I think that once we start kicking away this situation of the illness or vaccines showing up or whatever, we will need internationally at the different levels to start discussing how we will manage the supply. And I think that precisely IFAMA has a significant role in this, first internally and with all the correlated either members or other organizations that we can touch bases, start presenting, at least for the food and the agribusiness chain, which are the key proposals to do that. And with it, the responsibility that you gave me, I will see how I will send you some papers or positions about from the G20 in 2018 that I told you before, where you can see how important is this horizontal interaction between different organizations. Let's say the economic part, the healthy part, the security part, and also the trading and economical issues. This activity, and this is one of the things that in my vision is going to be the critical role in the coming months for IFAMA, and of course not only months, the next years, but in the coming months the transition is going to be very critical. And I think that your program and what you are proposing also is a great tool to help us to do that.
Hector, thank you very much for this interview. We'll be back in 4 weeks' time. We'll pursue this conversation and see indeed how these horizontal connections take place or won't take place. And I hope that indeed our program will help to make people realize how important on a global scale these horizontal connections are. Thank you very much, and see you in 4 weeks' time.
Thank to you, and I hope to see you again as soon as is needed. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.